Whenever I sort of talked to my friends and family about it, they were saying like, "You've no experience in it. You need to know somebody to get in. There's no way you're going to be able to do that. Like that's a stupid idea. Like don't do that. That's a crap idea." But I was kept looking it up, and I was like, "Fuck this! This seems unbelievable. Like you're able to go somewhere, just work like a dog for like a load of hours, and then just save up a load of money, and then just go away traveling, which is essentially like what exactly happened. On the back of my door in a bit of paper, every time I got to a new room, I wrote travel in big capital letters on the back of my door, and I wrote how much money I was earning per week on the bottom of the door. So the amount of money I was earning per week was fucking way more than I was earning back home. So my sort of thing was like, no matter how shit your week is, you're still getting a big fucking chunk of money at the end of the week. So it was a lot easier to sort of like focus on like why you were doing it. I always said about like focusing on the positives.
Welcome back to the Mining Mum podcast. I'm Tegan, your host, and today I'm interviewing Cal. Cal has started his journey in FIFO and is sharing it online and has amassed a massive following for his insights into his life as an international coming to work in the Australia mines. So, Cal, share your story with us.
What's happening? Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for having me on the podcast. And so my little story was I was back in Ireland, and my background was nothing to do with FIFO, nothing to do with machines, nothing to do with any of the kind of shit that I'm doing right now. Can I swear on this, by the way? Because I swear quite a lot. Back home I was like running nightclub events, so I was a nightclub promoter. So my main job, literally from probably 17 right up until like COVID happened, I had a whole like ecosystem of all these different events and run all these different brands and all these different venues all over Northern Ireland. Had a whole team of people working for me, and all was going good. And then COVID pretty much hit, so we weren't able to like hold any of our big events in the venues anymore. So I was pretty much went from making decent money to then just being unemployed because we couldn't run any of our events in any venues with COVID happening. So yeah, it was pretty much just fucked out on the streets essentially. And then I just started picking up like weird jobs. Like I started doing Amazon deliveries. Started working in the supermarket. Me and my business partner started a little print business, and I was trying to sort of like start the print business from complete scratch while also trying to have like some kind of money coming through with like the Amazon deliveries and the working in the little supermarket. But I was sort of just like working to live, wasn't really saving anything, wasn't really progressing, wasn't investing in anything. Like it just was shit. It was like working like shitloads of hours for like not really that much return. And I was like, fuck, I really want to go traveling again. How do I do it? And then that's whenever I sort of tried to look up like jobs where I can make like a shitload of money relatively quickly. I had two options. One of them was working on the offshore oil rigs as a underwater welder, like a commercial diver, because I'm like big into diving. So I was seriously looking into that as well. But for me to do that course, it was costing me like 14 grand, like UK money, which is like 38 Australian, like just to even do the course at all. So I was like, right, that's fucking out the window, so that's not happening. And then the other one was FIFO. But FIFO, I was like, whenever I sort of talked to my friends and family about it, they were saying like, you've no experience in it, you need to know somebody to get in. There's no way you're going to be able to do that. Like that's a stupid idea. Like don't do that. That's a crap idea. But I was kept looking it up, and I was like, fuck this seems unbelievable. Like you're able to go somewhere, just work like a dog for like a load of hours, and then just save up a load of money, and then just go away traveling, which is essentially like what exactly happened. Like I got over there, got working within a month, and then was pretty much working 3-in-1s for a full year. And now I'm now month 10 into a big massive travel trip. So I finished my visa, and I just went off on a big massive travel trip. Oh, and the whole reason I was moving to Australia was to like save up a big chunk of money so I could go on this travel trip that I'm on right now. So I'm about to go to New Zealand here, literally tomorrow on a flight. I'm in the Philippines right now, and I'm doing New Zealand for two more months, and then I'm going back to Australia just to jump back into FIFO again. So, but whenever I was like looking up FIFO, and there really wasn't that much like information about it. I didn't think there was much information on like, I'm coming from overseas, I want to get into FIFO, I need to do this, and this in this order, and that's how to do it. It was just about like what FIFO was, about like how much money you could earn, but all you sort of saw was like, it's really hard to get in, you need to know somebody, and it's not as you can't just walk in. But I was sort of like, I'm not an idiot. I reckon I could like make a plan and do enough research to sort of know the pathway and then just like execute the plan, like my sort of premeditated plan of like what to do. And then I pretty much landed in Australia and followed out my little plan like perfectly, and it completely worked like 100% sweet. And then like I got a job within 28 days of landing. So as soon as I landed, it was like eyes on the prize. I had maybe like 4 days of like traveling and enjoying being in Australia. Went to Kings Park, went to Cottesloe Beach, went to Scarborough, all that kind of touristy shit. But then after that, I was just fucking laser focused on getting the job. Wasn't really partying that much, wasn't really going out traveling. I was literally just like laser focused on trying to get the job. So I was doing all my tickets, I was getting my resume and all done up with Alana, and then pretty much I executed the plan, and the plan just went fucking perfectly. But to get into that like a wee bit more, so my very first day, so this is literally what happened. So my very first day, I landed and I went into Perth to like do all my admin shit, to like organise my bank account, Telstra, Medicare, all that there. I literally knocked that out within hours of landing in Australia. So then in one of the places, there was a win-win business card, right? And win-win were probably my main source of information before I came over. So I had it in my head, right, I'm going to go do FIFO. I booked my flights probably 8 months in advance. So I like had my flights and all booked, but I'm like, this was my plan way in advance. So I was just trying to do as much research as I possibly could, because I knew I didn't have any experience. So I was like, I want to know as much detail as I can about everything here to then try and like come up with this plan to then just execute it. So Alana, her YouTube channel, the Win-Win YouTube channel, was a real good source of information for me. It was probably my main source, but apart from that, there wasn't really that much. And then whenever I landed in Australia, did all that admin shit on the first day, and then I got a business card. I can't remember how the fuck I got the business card, but I ended up just getting a Win-Win business card somehow. And I called the number. I called the number on the business card. And Alana answered the fucking phone the same way she starts all the videos. She was like, "Hey, it's Alana from Win-Win," and I just went, "Whoa, what the fuck?" I was like, full like fanboy. I was like, "Oh my god, I watched all your videos. I've literally just arrived from Ireland. I have no idea what to do. I have no idea what job I want, but I know I'm going to work FIFO. I'm determined. I'm not going to stop until I get it. I know that I need you to do up my resume. I know all your services. I need you to fucking be my golden ticket straight in there, etc., etc." And then so I sent her over because I like worked for myself doing all the nightclub stuff, and like I never really had like a resume, to be honest. Like I had like a shitty one to try and get like a job with Lidl, which was like a pretty much like the Australian like Aldi essentially. It's like a budget kind of supermarket. So I was working there just as like a cashier. So I didn't really have like a resume at all. So I sent them like what I had, and they were like, "Yeah, this is shit." And I was like, "I know it's shit. I know." So I paid for their Job Jumpstarter Package, which was like their highest one, where they absolutely took me by the hand and brought me through like the whole process. And like no joke, like I that's why I don't mind like shouting about them so much and like sort of steering people towards it, because I know like their service was really good, and it really helped me. And for sure it was like the reason why I got my job so quickly. So yeah, pretty much phoned Alana, was like full going mad on the phone. She was like, "Right, okay, chill out. What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I have no fucking clue. I have no background in anything. I just want to work FIFO. Don't give a fuck what I'm doing. Whatever." And then she was like, "Right, chill out. We need to pick a direction. We need to like sort of brought me down to earth after me just having a fucking panic attack really on the phone." So I sent over my resume, sent over my I didn't have a cover letter, but pretty much went through their whole Job Jumpstarter Package with them. They give me a direction to be either like a trader's or a trade assistant or dealer's offsider or a serviceman, and I never knew what a serviceman was. But she was like, "Right, these are the jobs I reckon you should be going for. Go away." Well, actually, I was about to say like about the tickets there, but we'll go on that later. So yeah, pretty much just followed her process through, and then yeah, got a job after 28 days of landing. And probably had like, after getting my resume and all done up like properly and having like the good resume, having all the tickets and all they told me to get, I probably was trying hard on the phone and on the computer for about, I would say 7 or 8 days, which to be honest, in the overall scheme of things, is not really that long. So I was just like, I was hunting hard for it. Like I was on the phone and on the computer for fucking hours on end. And whenever I was getting to day 7 and day 8, not really getting like any responses, I was going like, fuck me, like this is way harder than I thought it was going to be. Like I'm not really getting many responses. Then all of a sudden I got fucking 3 or 4 phone calls, and I got 3 or 4 interviews, and I just went to all the interviews. It was 3 dealers offsider roles and a serviceman role. And then I went to all those interviews, got them all, and then picked the serviceman role, and that was just me away.
Oh, cool. So when that is a lot, like you're so driven as well. Like a lot of people would probably have it, just come over here and expect to get a job straight away. So it's so good that you just keep charging, following up. What is the visa that you have to get to come over, and how long is it, and what's the requirements?
Okay, so the visa I'm on is a working holiday visa, so that's the subclass 417. And to be honest, like the majority of countries can get that. If you're listening to this and you can't get the 417 visa, you have to get the 462 visa. So literally, just go onto the immigration website, just type in working holiday visa. There's 2 options: the 417 and the 462. They'll have a whole list of countries that's eligible for the 417, and a whole list of countries that's eligible for the 462. So how you're eligible is obviously like you're from a country where like your country's eligible, you have that passport, then you have to have 5,000 Australian dollars in your bank account. You have to, there's fucking a couple other things, can't remember, but it's just all these sort of little bullet points that you have to get, or you have to be like eligible for. So yeah, the 417 is probably if anyone's coming from overseas, it's most likely the 417 visa, and that probably costs like $380. And you have 12 months for it to start. So say for example, if someone's like, say me, I wanted to go to Australia and I didn't have the visa. This is me like being overseas. If I got accepted for the visa today, I have until today next year to like get to Australia. So people think it's like I get questions of like, do I need to like be in Australia whenever I get my visa? It's like, no, you have a year to use it. So if anyone's wanting to go to Australia in the next year, get your visa, because you have a year to like activate it. Once that's activated, you then have that for 12 months. So you do. And in those 12 months, you can then do regional work to then be eligible to apply for your second year visa. And then so that's the sort of stage I'm at right now. I've applied and got my second year visa granted. So I'm about to go back to Australia after this New Zealand trip and then start my second year. So I have like a whole year. And I'm obviously just going to be jumping back into FIFO, trying to save up a big fucking pile of money, exact same again, and then fuck off on another big massive travel trip. I'm going to continue to run away from real life for as long as possible.
Yeah, is that your dreams? I was going to say, yeah, like what's the next step? I guess you're coming back for 1 year. What are you going to save up for that second year? More travel and come back? Or
probably just more travel and come back. Like traveling is so good. So I'm probably my next big trip that I'm eyeing up is probably going to be start in Mexico. Go all through Mexico, go all through Central America, then do South America. That'll probably take like a year. So I'm hoping to do like my full second year visa, save up another big pile of money, and then just go and do that big trip for like another year, and then come back and start my third year. So,
oh, that's so good. So you can come back for your third year again?
Third year. So, but after the third year though, I will like then it sort of gets to a bit of a crossroads. Like my job at the minute, I'm a serviceman, right? So we can talk about that later on. So I'm a serviceman. It's actually not on the skills shortage list, so I might find it a bit tricky to actually try and like get permanent residency from my job, especially with me taking like big, long, year-long absences between visas. So I was chatting to a visa agent, and they said, yeah, that's probably like not going to look good. But I honestly don't know if I want to be in Australia like long term. I think I'm just out on a big, crazy, mad adventure for a couple of years, just sort of floating about, loving life kind of thing. But I don't know if I'm going to like proper settle. But I'll worry about that in like year 3 kind of thing. I'm not really thinking too much about that. So yeah, that's sort of the visa requirements. So I get loads of messages as well. Like if you're too old for the working holiday visa. So I'm from Ireland, right? So from Ireland it's 18 to 35. Other countries is 30 is the max age limit. So a lot of people, I get comments and messages like, am I too old for FIFO? No one's too old for FIFO. You just need to be 18. So like there's no ceiling age limit for FIFO, but there is a ceiling age limit for the visa you're going to be able to get. So if you're too old for the working holiday visa, if you're over 30 or 35, depending on what country you're coming from, you're going to have to go through a visa agent to do that, because there's all these fucking different avenues and loopholes and shit that you need to like then go through, because you can't get the working holiday visa, and it's not a simple process. So you're going to have to go through a visa agent. I work with 2. A good one that offers a free call consultation at the minute is True Blue Migration. I work for another one, but they do charge for the call consultation, and it is a bit pricey. So I'm sort of just steering everybody towards a True Blue migration because they're sort of so big and so established. They like don't charge for their first call consultation. So like, yeah, I would advise anyone just go into my stand store, which is a little link in my bio. Scroll down to where it says True Blue migration. Click on that. You can fill in a little form, and they will have one of their like professional people contact you and walk you through the whole pathway, what you need to do, what your whole stage of the process is, etc., etc. So for all the millions of messages I get about FIFO age limits, there is no age limit, but there is the age limit to get in to want to work on a holiday visa. So if you can't get that, go through True Blue migration for all your questions and answers.
So good. And so serviceman, what does that mean? And then also, what tickets did you get to help you get those jobs?
Okay, right. So we'll talk about the tickets first. So I have a video on my TikTok and my Instagram. It's called My Biggest FIFO Mistake, right? And yeah, I fucked it up at the very, very beginning. But I'm glad I did, because now, like, for me fucking up and, like, spending all this money that I didn't really need to spend, I'm now able to sort of tell my story to people to like what not to do, because I didn't have any experience and because I didn't really like know much. I just did all the like sort of research before, but I felt like because I didn't have any experience, I was like, right, I'm just going to arm myself with as many tickets as possible as soon as I land, and just try and like fucking just get whatever, so I can then like sort of beef up my resume to say like, oh, I've fucking got all these millions of tickets. But in hindsight, that was a really stupid idea. So it was, because I was getting tickets that like were nothing really to do with the job that I was wanting to get. So I think the very first one I got was obviously the white card. The second block was working in heights, confined spaces, and gas testing. The next one was a high risk forklift ticket, which was a 2-day course. And another one was a high risk EWP over 11 meters. That was a 2-day course as well. Then I did my first aid and CPR, and then after all, so I got all those tickets, right? And then I was chatting to Alana, and she was like, "Have you got your HR license?" And I was like, "No, what's that?" And she was like, "You're a fucking idiot. Like, what? Like, an HR license." Yeah, like she was saying, an HR license would have completely trumped all of those together, especially with me wanting to be a serviceman. So yeah, I got all those tickets, but I spent, I would say, probably $1,500, $1,800 on tickets that I didn't really need at all. Like, whenever I got to site, like, I actually have not used, the only ticket I've used is the one that Alana told me to get, the HR license. I've never been in a forklift. I've never used an EWP. I've never been in a confined space. I've never done gas testing. So I got all these fucking millions of tickets, but I actually didn't really need them at all. So my advice would be to people to, first of all, I would really, really recommend having your Win-Win call. So Win-Win offer a call consultation, right? Which is essentially just like a little 20-minute phone call with them to sort of talk about your background, what kind of direction you should be going in, and what kind of like role you should be going for, and then what tickets you should be getting to aid your chances in that role. So me, I sort of was like a bull in a china shop, just fucking picking tickets from here, there, and everywhere with no real structure or organization to it at all. So I'm telling, if people are wanting to like come over from overseas, I would really recommend sorting out your Win-Win call consultation before you even leave your country, right? So how to do that? You can go onto my little stand store, which is a little link in my bio on my TikTok or Instagram. Scroll down to where it says book your Win-Win call consultation. Fucking click that, and that's how to do it. So the reason why I tell people to like book that call consultation before you leave, so as soon as you land, you will know what job direction to be going for and what tickets to be actually applying for, rather than just landing, then trying to have the call consultation, which could be 2 weeks down the line or whatever. And like, just so like, as soon as you land, you'll know exactly what job to be going for and exactly what tickets to be getting to aid that thing. So there's no point you just arriving and getting all these millions of tickets that you might not even need, like I did. So I pretty much spent that $1,800, whatever it was, to warn you people that is not what to do. So do not copy me. Learn from my mistakes. Book the Win-Win call consultation before you even leave your country. So as soon as you arrive, you know you can hit the ground running, knowing what role you're going to be going for. Because there's a million different roles. There's all these different roles and all these different directions you can go down. But to like sort of pinpoint like a direction you're going to be going in that like would suit you and like you're going to want to do, to then aid your chances to get that, you then go and get these tickets that will help that role, rather than just you getting fucking millions of tickets like I did. So that's the sort of the ticket bit answered. The serviceman. So I had no idea what a serviceman was at all, even before I went in for the fucking interview. So I actually I got the interview invite, and my superintendent, he was like, "Had a look at your resume, all's looking good. Like, how about you come in for an interview as a serviceman?" And I was like, "Yeah, 100%, sounds good." As soon as that call happened, I then rang Alana, and I was like, "Alana, I just got an offer for an interview for a serviceman. What the fuck is a serviceman? What do you do? What's the things?" And she's like, "Right, serviceman, you go around a little truck and blah blah blah." So serviceman. So my role as a serviceman, I have a service truck, which is why I needed the HR license to drive a fucking big we call them lorries back home, but trucks. So in my truck, I will have diesel, I will have grease. It's essentially like a little garage on wheels, is how I describe it. So I'll be in my service truck, and in my so there'll be diesel, grease, hydraulic oil, engine oil, AdBlue, coolant, air, to blow air filters and stuff. So I pretty much have a little routine where I go and visit every machine that we have, right? So we have a fleet of probably 45 to 50 machines that I'll be going to every day. And I will have a little routine where I will go and do, I need to have all the big production stuff done before the operators even get there. So I'll go and pull up beside a big digger or whatever. I'll jump on my service truck, turn the compressor on, it'll be so that's all the pumps and all starting to go. I'll run over to the where you put the fuel on. I'll put the fuel on, that'll start fucking pumping away, and while that's pumping away, I'll run around and do all the grease points. The grease points can either be automatic grease, which is a big grease pod, and the machine will circulate the grease or all around the pins itself, which is very, very handy for me. Or if it doesn't have an auto grease pump, it's then manual grease, which is where every little joint like this here, every little joint will have a nipple on it, a grease nipple, and I'll have to know exactly where all those grease nipples are, so I can go around with my grease gun and grease all the individual nipples. It's essentially like preventative maintenance, so it is. So I'm pretty much so obviously all the machines are in real horrible, dry, fucking dusty environments, and they're working for hours and hours and hours and hours, day after day after day. So they get very, very worn out. So the grease, for example, in a pin like this, if it doesn't have any grease, it can seize up and get stuck and get and sort of mesh together. Whereas grease and sort of lubes it up and keeps it quite loosey goosey and sort of moving well. So I pretty much have a little routine where I'll know I have to have these 25 machines done before smoko. And as soon as smoko is after, which is at 10 a.m., I know that I'll have another 20 machines in this area to do. Then it'll be lunch, and then once it's after lunch, I know I have to go and do this area and I have to get all those machines done. So I have to visit every machine every day to give them fuel. And in my truck, my truck holds 10,000 liters, right? And I was probably going through, I would say, it's probably about 36 to 38,000 liters of diesel every single day, which is mental. So all of our big gear, our big dozers and our big diggers and shit like that, they'll take over 1,000 liters just in themselves. They'll be 1,100, 1,200, depending on how hard they're working, depending on where they are. But yeah, at the very, very beginning, I was lost. I had no idea where I was. Whenever I landed, I was sort of shadowing. I was sort of a helper to the main service guy, a guy called Willie. He's a complete fucking legend, one of my best mates up on site. And I was pretty much just shadowing, being an extra pair of hands to him. And he was just sort of doing his own little routine, and I was sort of trying to help and trying to learn. But at the beginning, I hadn't a fucking clue about anything, and I was going, how the fuck can I learn all this here? This is way in over my head. It's absolutely roasting. It's so hot. And how can I learn all these different grease points and all these different oils and all these different fill points, and Komatsu's are different to Cats, D10s are different to the D11s. Fucking it's a lot. But your body's amazing. After doing that, day after day after day after day, I could now tell you, even though I haven't done it for a year essentially, I could list you our whole 50 machines. I could tell you what oils go where, what's auto grease and what's not grease, and what yeah, it's a lot to download at the beginning, but you just sort of do your little routine day after day after day, and you'll know what all the little machine discrepancies, this one the overflow's fucked on that one, so that needs to note it down, or this one has a weird nipple over here that the one doesn't have. So you sort of just get to learn all these different machines, which I quite liked, because I was coming from absolutely zero experience. And if you say for example, if I was like a dump truck operator, I would just learn the dump truck. I would know about the fucking tires, fill points, transmission oils, hydraulic oil, engine oil, how to dip it, how to look for certain things, etc., etc. But me being a serviceman, I have to do that, but with every machine that we have. So I quite liked how like sort of methodical and like strategic the whole thing was. 'Cause I needed to know. I had a whole routine, and I like to stick to the schedule and stick to the routine. And if a machine like broke down and I had to go into the workshop, I needed to remember that, because once it got fixed on the workshop, it would go back on the go line, and I would know that I didn't get it before it went in, so it would be empty right now. It would be sitting on the go line for someone to get into it empty. And if someone, my role was to make sure that like no machines like ran out of fuel and everybody was just able to work like non-stop kind of thing. But yeah, the serviceman role, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed, even though it was like hot as fuck and you're out on the ground and you're pulling out all these reels from, and like they're heavy fucking big hoses and stuff, and you're climbing up all machines that are all roasting hot. So like there's a load of shit parts about the job, but I really enjoyed the physicality of it. I enjoyed sort of the social, because I was able to go around and sort of meet everybody, like all the operators. I had all the shit that their machine needed. If they needed engine oil or hydraulic oil or whatever, like call me Cal service truck, I need such and such, and I'd be like, yep, no bother, blah blah blah. And whenever they saw me coming, they knew they could go out, have a smoke, chill out, relax, and have a chat with me, and I'd run around, be doing all my stuff. So I really enjoyed it. It was good. The day went in very quick, but it was like you're on a tight schedule, because I knew that I needed to have so many machines done at like certain times of the day. If something like kicked me off whack, like say something big happened where I had to go and like evac a whole freaking big digger, like oil pan or whatever it was, you knew that you're then sort of like chasing your tail, because you knew you had like so much in front of you before like your next break. So there was good points and bad points, but I really enjoyed it. And yeah, the next kind of like stage of the serviceman role is then actually like working in the workshop and doing like actual services on machines. So I was never really I was helping a wee bit. Like my truck was obviously there doing the evacing and doing the pumping and stuff like that. But it'd probably be like a more senior serviceman or like a fitter doing the actual service of the machine. But that's like the next progression for me. Now I know all the fill points and all the fuel and all the grease and all the everything. My next stage is learning the sort of PM1s and the actual proper services of the actual machine. So yeah, that's the tickets, and that's my role as a serviceman.
That's awesome. I love how passionate you are about your job, and you know your part that you play in production. So that's really awesome. And then yeah, my next question was going to be about progression. It sounds like that would fit well into like going into an apprenticeship or like a senior serviceman. Do you have an opportunity to do that, like to go on to the next step?
Probably. Well, I don't know about like a senior serviceman, but I would just become a better, more knowledgeable serviceman. So like right now, I'd probably be able to take you through a PM1 by myself. So PM1 is like the very first stage of a service. So that's like whenever your machine's done 250 hours. So I also have to probably every month I would like take a note of all the machine hours, right? All the machine hours. So I would have all my like fuel sheet, all the list, all the different machines I have to fill up, and I would take down a note of, or I'd ask the operator what hours the machine's on, just so like I can book in with the workshop, like this one is close to needing a PM4 or PM3 or whatever it was. So the services go, PM1 is 250 hour, a PM2 is a 500 hour, a PM3 is 750 hour, and a PM4 is 1,000 hour. So at each one of those stages, more stuff gets serviced. So the very basic one is the PM1, whereas the PM4 is like everything. Like the whole machine gets completely like stripped back, and everything gets done. Everything that can be done is done. So they take for ages, but like yeah. So that is the sort of like the progression of me. And whenever I was working, like my company, like we're good with like offering, because we had to drive like a Manitou like round our workshop, and also like a skid steer and stuff. So that they put me through those courses. Like I didn't pay for those, which was fucking really good. So I'd advise as well, like if anyone it has got a job, and like I would express further interest in trying to like sort of progress your stuff on, because a lot of the times the company will pay for them. So if you can get them like under your belt and like more and more like training and more skills and more stuff to learn and just to become more knowledgeable about the whole industry, like you should do that. So but yeah, my next stage would probably just be continue doing like what I'm doing. So that's like the very sort of basic like fuel run, grease, all the top ups of the oils. But then yeah, to actually learn how to like properly do like a PM1, PM2, PM3, PM4. That's like my next goal, and like probably like in my resume and all like that. Like whenever I go back to Australia, like I'll be putting that in my resume that like I'm super good at like knowing all about the fuels and the oils and like what to do, but I would not be confident enough to like do a PM2 or PM3 by myself, like with no one, because like it's obviously a big deal if you fuck that up. If you put the wrong oil like in the wrong place, and that's the machine, that is not good. So that like it needs to be right. So I would not have the confidence to like do that myself, but like that's what I'm looking to sort of progress on to. There probably is roles as like senior serviceman and stuff like that, but yeah, I've just sort of got like 1 year experience. 1 year experience doing that, and like 1 year experience in like mining, like in general. But because it's so like sort of fast paced and like dynamic, and I liked learning about it all, and I like, as I said, like I could list you every little machine number we have and talk you through all of them, like no problem, even though I haven't fucking seen any of them in a year. There's just like ingrained in my brain because I was so like particular in how I did it, and how like, because people were calling me up being like, call me Cal service truck, I'm in on the red diesel, I need fuel, and I'd say no, you're not on the schedule for another 2 hours, so I know that I filled you at this time yesterday, and I know you will last until I get you again. So I'm not coming out of my schedule to get you whenever I'm going to be getting you in 2 hours. So no. So even my supervisors and stuff like enjoyed how like barky I was at them, because even though I'm brand new, I had to like liaise them with everyone. So if someone wanted something, I'd be like, are you worth me coming out of the schedule to get? Do you know what I mean? So it was all quite like it's quite methodical and quite strategic, and I quite enjoyed it. And yeah, even the operators would take the piss out of me, and I was like, all about the schedule. It's all about the schedule. I need to stick to the schedule. And I like, but it's true, because like then you can get into your routine, and like you know where you need to be at what times, and it was all quite, I quite enjoyed it. But yeah, other people might not look at it like that, but that's how I looked at it.
Yeah. And so what about FIFO itself? Like were you living in Perth and then flying up? What were the camps like? And also, what's your favorite camp?
I was only on one camp. Yeah, I was only on one camp the entire time. So okay. I was based in Perth, and flew up to a little town called Parapadu, and the whole town was just pretty much just a little mining town. And there's a couple of sort of mines like close to there. So the one I was working on, the site I was working on, was called Western Range, and it was Rio Tinto site, and it was the camp. I thought the camp was completely fucking sweet. So did other people were saying like, yeah, you've got very very lucky, this being like your very first camp. Like there was gyms there, tennis courts, football pitches, fucking ping pong tables, and gyms, and freaking all. There was all sorts of shit there. Like I thought it was good, and people were complaining about the food and all. And I was like, lads, this food's fucking free. Like it's not that bad. Like it's not that bad. But to be fair, sometimes like there's things that you wouldn't pick, but like the majority of the time, like it's fine. It's fucking like fine to fill you up. I really really enjoyed the camp. I did. It was like a bit of a temporary camp. Obviously, there's fucking shit parts about the camp. Like for example, like in the morning, because the camps were all like it's all very like compact and like condensed. Like there was our like fucking big shit tank was like some designer decided to put it in like in the middle of the place, so like it stank a lot. And then in the mornings, like whenever people would flush the chain, you'd hear all the water pumps like going off like under your floor and stuff. So like that would wake you up. Like if people were going out, like getting up early, go to the gym at like fucking 3 a.m. or something, and they flush the chain, you would just hear all these like under your floor, and that would wake you up. But yeah, like in terms of the camp, I thought the camp was grand. I really really did. But again, I have nothing to really compare it to, so I can't compare it to other camps being like this was better, that was better. This was my first ever experience, and I thought the camp was good. Gym was really really good. They held little like CrossFit-y kind of like circuit classes. Like at night, I tried to go to them whenever I could be fucked. But I'm trying to think of other things about the camp. There was obviously like the wet mess is the tavern. Most of the operators would drink most nights, but me, I didn't really get involved, not too much to be fair, cause I knew that I needed to be so on my game and on the ball like the next day, and like I was gonna be so like sweating my tits off and very like on the go. There's a couple of nights that I had a couple of drinks, and like even like a couple of drinks, I felt shit the next day, and I was just like, nah, it's not even fucking worth it. So there was a wet mess there. There was gym there, music room, freaking all sorts of shit like that. But yeah, I thought the camp was good. But again, I didn't really have much to compare it to. They did have like barbecues and stuff on Saturdays, and they did try and like do little sort of events and stuff like that, which like I thought was decent. But yeah, some people were complaining about the camp, but those are probably people that had been to millions of other camps and sort of just trying to nitpick things. But I thought it was fucking dead on.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. What about like homesickness? Obviously, you're all the way on the other side of the world from your family. You're then going to like those remote camps, working remotely. How did you deal with like your mental health doing FIFO?
Yeah, well, the mental health is definitely is a fucking issue. Like they give everybody an opportunity to do a mental health first aid course, which I did. That was on a Saturday and Sunday. Still got paid for your days. But yeah, sort of just like brought you through all the sort of symptoms and how to recognize people and what to do and the sort of procedures and processes, etc. About that. In terms of homesickness for me, I'd already left Ireland, so like I was already like away anyway, and like my whole goal, which was my whole goal was to save up money for this big travel trip that I was going on. So I had like an end goal. I had like a North Star to follow. I had light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, it was hard. Yes, it was long and it was fucking tough. But I was saving for a reason, and I knew it was eventually going to end, kind of thing. So that definitely helped me a lot. But see the boys that are there for fucking 10, 15 years, Jesus, it would be horrible. It would be hard. Like, even me personally, like, a couple of people were going through fucking divorces, like, on my crew, like, my, like close friends, and, but it's fucking hard. It would be hard. Like imagine your husband or your fucking boyfriend or whatever, he's going away for 3 weeks out of the month, and then on the week that he's off, he's fucking wrecked. Just wants to relax and recover and chill out and not do much, but the family wants to do loads of stuff, and there's loads of shit to be done at home. Like it would be tricky. It would be tricky for long distance relationships, and like that would be hard. But I think like with me personally, just with my situation and only needing to sort of go for not really that long, like I probably done like 10 swings. So 10 swings, like even though it was a full year of doing 3-in-1s, it wasn't like that many. It was like a decent amount, but like I knew there was an angle. Another thing I did as well, I wrote on the back of my door in a bit of paper every time I got to a new room. I wrote travel in big capital letters on the back of my door, and I wrote how much money I was earning per week on the bottom of the door. So the amount of money I was earning per week was fucking way more than I was earning back home. So like my sort of thing was like, no matter how shit your week is, you're still getting a big fucking chunk of money at the end of the week. So like it was a lot easier to sort of like focus on like why you were doing it. I always said about like focusing on the positives. So whenever people talk about mental health and yes, it could if you're, so I would say like if you're like weak minded and sort of like very like doom and gloom, I would say there's loads of bad points about it, there's loads of negatives, but I just tried to like not even fucking speak about those and not even like think about them at all, and tried to like, I talk about inflating the positives and like deflating the negatives. So the positives are your accommodation's completely free, your gym's completely free, your fuel's free, your water's free, your coffees are free, fucking everything's free. Everything's free, food,
everything's free, and you get paid heaps of money.
Exactly. So like your costs whenever you're up there are very little. I don't smoke, don't really drink that much, so like I wasn't really. I fucking have a couple of nights maybe on like a Friday to go into the tuck shop and buying a fucking dairy milk bar or something like that. But apart from that, like my costs were very minimal. But like as I say, like I just like tried to inflate the positives and do not think about. Yes, everyone knows that it's fucking hot as fuck. Everyone knows the flies are wee bastards. Everyone knows that it's long hours, it's dusty, it's hot. It's like there's so many bad points about it, but everyone's going through them. So you just try and not bring them to the surface as much as possible. Just try and not speak about them and just have crack with your mates, and sort of you're just in this cycle of just fucking head down, blinkers on, work like a dog, save up loads of money, and then that's sort of how I combated the mental health. I would say just by having the North Star, writing the travel in the back of my door and how much I was getting paid, and trying to inflating the positives and like not thinking about the negatives. But if like everyone in my crew would tell you I'm sort of sociable and chatty and bubbly and high energy. Like I was like this every day, and people were saying like, oh yeah, like their favorite part of the day was whenever I came in my service truck, because they got to get out of their machine, have a smoke, and fucking have a conversation like this just with them, just for fucking 5-10 minutes, however long it took me to like do their machine. And yeah, like, because the operators, they're sitting in a machine all day long, and I'm like essentially the only kind of socializing they're getting to do at all. Even in their smoke go and in their lunch, etc., they bring all that like in their machine with them. So like their only interactions with people is with me. You know what I mean? And I'm fucking chatting stories and jokes and fucking full energy, and they're all like a breath of fresh air to their day. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's probably what I would say about the mental. I'm trying to think if there's any other things about the mental health, but there's obviously like a full like paramedic team and stuff up there, like a medic team. But if like people, or you notice like in that mental health first aid course, you were sort of like taught to like notice like little symptoms and stuff and sort of try things yourself. But if things like weren't like working with you, then you like bring that up to your supervisor, superintendent, and then maybe like further on would probably be that medic team, I would say. So they were all trained with mental health stuff and psychology and all that kind of shit. So, but yes, it is like it's like people, a lot of people see this on social media and see this online, and it is very, very glorified. Yes, you can earn like a shitload of money relatively quickly, but you're working fucking hard for it. It's a tough gig, but it's not for everybody. Like there were people that came up to site and sort of first couple of days they were just like, fuck this, I'm not doing this, and this is too hard. And the company is just spent. It costs companies fuckloads, like onboard you, like bring someone on site, paying for your medicals, paying for your inductions, paying for your flights, etc., etc. And if they're just going to be coming up and staying on site for a couple of days and going, nah, I don't want to do this, like it's sort of it wrecks the opportunities for loads of other people. So yeah, another bit of advice I would give to people is like, do not be afraid of like starting with a utility role, or starting with like a driller's offsider role, or starting with some kind of role that you're not. And just use them as a stepping stone, because these companies want you to have, and like they want you to have like some kind of FIFO regional work experience at all, to sort of know that you can handle it and you know what you're sort of up against. Because yeah, it's not for everybody, and it can chew you up and spit you out pretty fucking easily. And if you are weak minded and you sort of take things to heart, and you can sort of get like down yourself, like it can be a fucking lonely, horrible place. But yeah, that's why I try and not sort of get into that mood, you know.
I love it. And okay, so I feel like you've given heaps and heaps and heaps of advice, but what is like your big either motto or one main piece of advice that you want to leave the listeners with?
I would definitely say to go onto my Stan store and download my full step-by-step guide. That would be my advice. So I'll tell you that this little story as well, just to finish. So whenever I went over, like, this is sort of how I like how this whole social online thing organically just fucking grew. But this is still advice for people as well. So whenever I got the job, I was like sort of document, like whenever I got up on the site, everything was mental looking, crazy, big machines, big tires, big diggers, and I was taking videos with things, because my friends and family back home heard I was doing this FIFO thing, and they were all asking me, what are you doing, what's this about? And instead of like answering them all, I would have just put up these little videos about like the site and shit and just said, go fucking watch that, that's what I'm doing. So, but then after doing a couple of them, a few of them just absolutely fucking took off. Like the very, very first one I did was, the very first like one that like did well was like all about the room tour, like what the living conditions were like. I got up on the site and just sort of shot that like on the arrival day, edited it down and posted it that night, and by the next day I was on like fucking 200,000 views or something, and I was like, what the fuck, this is mad. And then after that I did the one about how much money I was earning as a new starter, and went in to break down my whole pay slip and fucking hours and tax and every little detail about how much money I was earning, was the second video. I think that's probably my biggest video I have right now. I think it's on like maybe like 3.3 million views or something, which is fucking mental, which is mental. But yeah, so from those videos, I just had an absolute tsunami of people like wanting to, like, all these millions of questions, and everybody was generally asking me the same kind of thing. It was, I'm coming from overseas, don't know where to start, what do I do, what tickets do I do, what training do I get, how do I apply, where do I apply, where do I start, all these kind of questions. So I was like, right, there's obviously a gap in the market here that I was sort of experienced, because I didn't really think there was anything to sort of tell you, do this, this, and this in this order, and that's how to get in. So I pretty much worked away. It took me fucking months and months to make it, to be fair. But I tried to like make this full, like, comprehensive, like, step-by-step guide, the exact guide that I would have wanted, but whenever I was, like, overseas and I wanted to come over. So I made this whole guide. I took everybody, I tried to make it as good as possible, as detailed as possible, make it as easy to follow as possible, and tried to, like, include as much detail as I could at every little stage of the process. So anytime people ask me questions now, I'm just like, all the answers are in there. Just go and follow that. And people can, like, literally get it and start from the very, very beginning and just literally work down the whole way down. And it is mad, but I've actually helped loads of people get jobs, which is mental to fucking say. But because I've literally went through the whole process that, like, this, say for example, it's you, that you're wanting to do. I've came from overseas with no experience, did the whole process getting to Australia, set up my whole life in Australia, and then, like, went through every little stage of the process to then getting a job, to then working for a full fucking year, and now I'm loving life traveling for a full year. So I've literally just went through the whole process relatively recently. So I'm, like, sort of tried to spell out as simple as I could exactly what to do this, and because it is a bit of a process, and, like, people, even, like, for example, like, people can come over with loads of experience, but if your, like, resume and all, like, isn't getting past the applicant tracking system, you're not going to get anywhere. So I just try to, like, explain everything in, like, little order, and the guide has, like, little hyperlinks and stuff where people can just, like, click on the link and it can just bring you there. So if anyone that I say is serious about it, I would go onto my Stand store, download my little step-by-step guide, and literally just fucking follow that through. So for all the millions of messages I get, how do you do it, where do you apply, what to do, I'm literally telling you everything to do. So it has all my recommendations, all my advice in it. So go onto my Stand store, click that, and then just get that and just follow it through. And it's worked for shitloads of people already. Loads of people have got the guide, went over, and are sort of following the steps and are earning or they've got FIFO jobs earning money. So it's actually working, and I get loads of little messages because I tell everybody, like, let me know, like, whenever you're going for interviews, or I'll give you little pep talks, or let me know the stage you're at. And there's loads of people who are getting jobs saying, "Can I have an interview today?" Going flying up the site, got 2-in-1 offer, blah blah blah. So it's fucking cool. It's really, really cool. And you get, like, all these messages being like, "Oh, thank you so much. Like, you inspired me to come over here. Like, thank you, and all this kind of shit." It's mad. It is mad, and it all just sort of, like, just evolve, like, organically, which has been mental. So yeah, my advice would be, get my little step-by-step guide. That's exactly what to do. I'm literally telling you what to do. Follow that through, and that's what to do and how to start and how to get in, essentially. You know.
So Cal, you're changing lives. That's amazing. What is your handle that people can go and follow you as well?
So on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, it's Cal McIlwain FIFO. So CAL _ McIlwain, MCILWAINE. Just type in that and it'll come up. It's me in a little, like, orange shirt. Or just type in Cal McIlwain and it'll come up. So yeah, I post on TikTok, I post on Instagram, I post on YouTube, and at the minute as well, I'm starting to, like, so with this whole travel trip, I'm, like, now 10 months into it, right? I have an absolute mountain of GoPro drone footage of this whole trip that I'm starting to, like, sort of now post on my YouTube. So I'm trying to, like, make little, like, vlogs on, like, my travels as well. So, like, they're all going to be on my YouTube. So if anyone's wanting to keep up to date with, like, what I'm doing and what my trip has been, it's all going to be my YouTube. And I was all doing crazy shit. Like, I was fucking flying about Vietnam on a motorbike. I was, like, just dirt biking, like, doing all the scuba diving, all this cool shit that'll look mint. So, yeah, if anyone wants to keep up to date, just get me on Instagram, get me on TikTok, and get me on YouTube. And, yeah, send me out whatever questions you want. I try and answer everybody with little voice notes and video notes and answer whatever I can. So, yeah, just trying to sort of share my information and get other people jobs and, yeah, love life and help people doing it.
Amazing so much. Thank you so much, Cal, for joining me today on the Mining Mum podcast. If you guys liked his episode, make sure you go and like his handles, but also like and share this episode with a friend. Thank you so much.
No worries. Bye, everybody. Thank you.